This is Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. Here now, Tony Bruschi.
Let's talk about Jackie Fulford. The name probably did not ring many bells when it first popped up in Donna Adelson's lead defense attorney file, but maybe it should have. Because once you back the curtain on her background, especially how she exited the Florida judicial system and somehow ended up being the attorney for Donna Adelson, it gets a little interesting. The choice to put her at the helm of a first-degree murder defense gets more puzzling and, frankly, more uncomfortable. When you realize the similarities between Jackie and Donna. Now, in no way am I saying Jackie is a bad person, a criminal, or anything of the sort. She's not. She's an attorney that had some issues in the past, and it looks like most of those were resolved in amicable ways. But if you look at her, I mean, just look at her, and look at Donna. Similar? Not just in looks, demeanor, personality. So who is Jackie Fulford? She's a former Florida Circuit Court judge, once a respected legal figure appointed by then-Governor Charlie Crist back in 2009. She presided over cases in the Second Judicial Court, which includes Tallahassee and surrounding areas, a seasoned prosecutor turned judge. Fulford had a reputation for being decisive, some might say bold on the bench. She wasn't afraid to strike down major state initiatives like Florida's pension reform and a sweeping prison privatization plan, both of which she deemed unconstitutional. Those rulings made headlines. One of them was later overturned by the state Supreme Court. Still, she had clout. Now, behind the scenes, things were unraveling. In 2015, her career didn't just stall, it combusted. The Florida Judicial Qualifications Committee, or JQC for short, came forward with formal misconduct charges, not the kind of minor administrative infractions you sweep under the rug. These were big ones. Abuse of office, conflicts of interest, coercion, and worst of all, using her robe, her judicial authority, allegedly to influence cases that directly benefited her personal life. There's a little bleed over here, it seems like, into Donna land. The JQC laid out a roadmap of ethical landmines, each more damaging than the first. First, there was the political meeting. During a 2012 sheriff's race, Fulford made it clear who she supported. David Harvey, the incumbent, and a personal friend. She displayed a life-size cardboard cutout of him in her chambers. That's already not great, but then it got worse. A courtroom bailiff who supported Harvey's opponent, she told him he could no longer work in the courtroom. That bailiff was later fired. Fulford, a sitting judge, had blurred the line between impartiality and campaign loyalty. And she used her position to punish someone who disagreed with her, allegedly. Then there was the coercion allegations. In one of her cases, Fulford had a defense attorney with a major motion pending before her. Instead of allegedly mandating that professional distance that judges are required to have, Fulford asked him to do her a favor, allegedly, represent someone else in a totally unrelated matter for free, pro bono. The attorney reportedly felt like he couldn't say no. Not when the same judge was deciding whether his current client, facing 15 years, would go to prison or walk. That's a textbook definition of judicial coercion. She allegedly exploited her position to extract a personal favor, knowing full well the power imbalance in play. But perhaps the most damning accusation came from something a lot more personal. In 2013, allegedly, Fulford's live-in partner had a son, Trey Young, who was arrested on domestic battery charges, misdemeanor charges, open and shut, right? Well, not quite. As soon as Trey was booked, Fulford allegedly started making calls, and not just any calls. She reached out directly to the prosecutor handling the case, a prosecutor who had once worked for her. She allegedly started advocating for Trey hard. She allegedly helped him write his deferred prosecution agreement, the kind of legal document that would get the charges dropped if completed. She submitted it to the state attorney's office. She even showed up in meetings and jail visits, and wasn't just inappropriate, it was outrageous. She essentially became co-counsel in a case where the defendant was practically family, all while wearing the title of circuit judge. The JQC said this crossed every imaginable ethical boundary. It wasn't speculation, it was documented behavior. This wasn't a judge bending the rules to help the community. This was a judge bending the law to help her household, allegedly. And yet, despite all of this, the coercion, the meddling, the inference, allegations, Fulford never stood public trial for the misconduct. Why? Because just as the case against her started to gain traction, Fulford went on medical leave. She stopped presiding over cases and disappeared from the bench. And then came the twist. The JQC requested a medical evaluation, and that evaluation, which remains sealed and heavily redacted to this day, concluded that Fulford suffered from a permanent disability, one that interfered with her ability to perform her judicial duties. The JQC, rather than continue the misconduct proceedings, recommended involuntary retirement based on disability. No public hearing, no formal ruling on guilt, no censure. Just like that, Fulford exited stage left. The Florida Supreme Court signed off on it, officially ordering her involuntary retirement in September of 2015. From a legal standpoint, it was over. Fulford had no longer held the title of being a judge, but the questions, they never stopped because the timing was too convenient. The misconduct allegations were public and serious, the evidence was mounting, and suddenly a disability no one had previously mentioned took her off the bench before she ever had to answer for her actions in a public forum. What was the disability? We still don't know. That information is protected. Was it physical, mental, chronic, acute? Somehow allegedly interfered with her being able to be a judge. We still don't know. The court didn't say. What we do know is that the misconduct charges were real. Multiple attorneys and court officials backed them up, and they didn't go away. They were simply absorbed into the retirement narrative. It left a sour taste for many in the legal community. Some argued that Fulford used the disability claim as an escape hatch. Others argued she may have genuinely suffered from a condition exacerbated by stress. But either way, the judicial record remains incomplete. Now, fast forward a decade. Fulford is no longer a judge. She's back in private practice based in Tallahassee, taking criminal defense clients, including, and most recently, Donna Adelson. Yes, that Donna Adelson. The matriarch of the Adelson family, arrested for first-degree murder, solicitation, and conspiracy in the 2014 murder for hire of Dan Markel. Her former son-in-law. A case built on recorded calls, informants, and years of investigative bricklaying. And in her corner stands Jackie Fulford, a former judge who not long ago was quietly removed from the bench under a cloud of misconduct. The optics, let's be honest, they're kind of rough. You have a defendant accused of orchestrating a murder to regain custody of her grandchildren and protect her family's wealth, being defended by a former judge who once allegedly inserted herself into a domestic violence case involving her partner's son in order to protect her household. If nothing else, it raises eyebrows. More than a few critics have asked, is this really the attorney you want at this table in the case this high profile, this high stakes? Donna? I mean, she looks a lot like you. Not that that disqualifies, but what else is going on here? Why do you like her so much? And there's the question of competence. Fulford hasn't held public role since 2015. She hasn't been a judge in nearly a decade. Her legal work post-retirement hasn't made headlines until now. There's no question she's qualified on paper. She knows the courtroom. She knows the law, but does she have the experience to objectively lead? And what is objectively needed to navigate a conspiracy case of this magnitude? where wiretaps, murder, and family secrets converge. Judging by her opening statements, the answer is a big, clear no. At least if you want to be found not guilty. This is where things get especially strange, not just in the courtroom logistics, but in optics, because when you see Jackie Fulford and Donna Adelson sitting next to each other, you notice something. They don't just align professionally. They kind of mirror each other physically. Same posture, same polished yet stern expression, same tailored courtroom look. There's a haunting symmetry there, like a defense attorney and client separated only by a different cut of blouse. Is that a coincidence? Maybe, or maybe not. Because Donna Adelson is nothing if not image conscious. We know from wiretaps, interviews, and years of documented behavior that she's strategic about appearances, who she's seen with, who says what, how she's perceived. She's not outside the realm. It's not outside the realm of a possibility that when she sought out legal representation, she didn't just look for someone with credentials. She may have gravitated towards someone who reminded her of herself. Someone who projected a similar blend of confidence, control, composure, narcissism. I'm not saying that Jackie I have no idea. Someone who could reflect back the version of Donna she wants the world to see. Could Fulford's visual and emotional resemblance to Donna actually be part of the appeal? Could this be, in some layered way, a psychological power play, conscious or unconscious? A move to control the narrative through a lookalike, a surrogate, a self-styled emissary in heels? It is speculative, sure, but in a case already fueled by vanity, image management, and manipulation, it's not hard to notice the subtext, especially when it's sitting right there at the defense table, because this pairing isn't just legally unusual, it's visually uncanny. In a courtroom drama that already feels like a Greek tragedy unfolding on high-def monitors, Jackie Fulford isn't just playing defense, she might be playing Donna's reflection. And if that's true, if Donna Adelson chose an attorney not just for legal acumen, but because she saw herself in her, this case may be even more psychologically layered than we realized. Power, control, image, influence. Maybe the defense strategy started long before opening statements. Maybe it starts the moment you pick the person who will speak for you, the person you think can be you if the mask slips. And in this case, that mask looks an awful like Donna herself. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section on YouTube. If you're not already there, please check it out. Search Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi to find us there. You can do that same search wherever you get podcasts to download us and take us wherever you go. Until next time, I'm Tony Bruschi. We'll talk again real soon.
Want more on this case and others? Then press subscribe now and don't miss a moment of true crime coverage from Tony Bruschi and the Hidden Killers podcast.